Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Trader Talks. Hope you are all well. There's only really one market we can focus on today, and that of course is oil. Do remember the link is in the bio. Should you want to watch on YouTube, do remember to like, share and drop a comment as well. Really interested to hear what you all have to say, or should I say see what you all have to say. Do remember the presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as investment advice, personal recommendation or an offer of or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instruments. Now, before we have a look at the chart, let's discuss exactly what happened. At about 9 p.m. last night, crude oil was trading about $104 a barrel, and it's now trading at 90.77, so a considerable drop there. Equities across the globe rallied and are up quite considerably. You can see on my charts now, if you're on YouTube, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, gold, the S&P 500, the FTSE have all rallied significantly after the optimism of the sort of the deal, the 2-week ceasefire being announced between the US and Iran. Trump has come out and said the US will pause the bombing of Iran for 2 weeks, contingent on Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz, adding that there will be a ceasefire and it will be mutual. Trump has also confirmed that the US has received a 10-point proposal from Iran, which he described as a workable foundation for negotiations, noting that most previous points of dispute have already been resolved between the two sides. Iran accept Pakistan's proposal for a 2-week ceasefire with approval granted by the Supreme Leader. Tehran also added that negotiations with the US will take place in Islamabad to finalize the deals, with talks set to begin on Friday, the 10th of April. That's one for your diaries, and will potentially continue longer if both parties agree. Fantastic news. You can see here the immediate reaction, big push down for oil, and from the recent peak that it had just yesterday to the lowest point, that was a 20% drop. The NASDAQ is now high as it's been since the 18th of March. But let's have a quick look at oil then. And you can see some really decent size moves, across the board here. But with oil, and, it didn't quite get back to its peak from the 2nd of March. But that's not to say it didn't have some, a couple of attempts where it tried to. We got back up as sort of high as $107. And as I said, we're now below that level. So immediately, let's have a quick look then. Where are the key points where, there might be some of you, and maybe I'll ask the question now, are there any of you that aren't buying this in terms of the actual deal and you think the situation will get worse? If that is the case, what areas are you looking to get involved in? I think importantly is $87. And you can see here, actually, just sort of the interaction we've had in and around this level. Even today, it shows just the importance of it. So that's one area to keep an eye on. And you'd almost say if price closes above that today, and obviously we're quite a few dollars above there now, maybe the worst, isn't behind us. Just have a quick look at some levels lower down. You can see you have also some really good interaction previously at 84.55. But below there, this is where it probably opens up a bit more, and we can trade back down to $80. And the reason I've got this area marked up is because 1 test, 2 tests, 3, 4, and then 5 as well in the area support. So that would be, I think, the main target here for the shorts to look to push in. And $70 just takes us back to where we were before the situation started. So is that a fair price? Maybe not, because there is obviously still some doubt. It's not completely done. It's a 2-week ceasefire. There's talks on Friday. We had a good scenario overnight for sure, but the situation isn't completely over. So just keep an eye. $80 could well be a sort of a floor for this. Let's have a quick look more intraday for those traders there. And, for people that really like this story and, think the oil is going to continue to sell off, where are those areas where the sellers need to defend? Well, the area I think is really important is $94.50 in and around here. Reason being, if I just bring in the annotation tool again, you can see the interaction every time we've come to this level. So in theory, that should be a point where sellers look to then target back down to those lows, take out the stops in and around $84. So that would be the key point. However, if developments come out negatively for the geopolitical situation, this maybe gives an opportunity for those people to get long back up to some key levels around $102. So the key level to the upside, 94.5. The key level to the downside, we've gone through, and that's kind of how I would see it. But really interested to know what you're all thinking. Also, is worth just mentioning here, and I'm going to just finish on this, that just near those lows, you have the gap from the 27th of February to where we opened on the 1st of March, where it all sort of kicked off, and that comes in around 67 and a bit. Let's call that 67.40. And that could well be another area that people look to target once things are completely over. But for now, a good scenario, not completely out the woods. Keep an eye on talks today and Friday, and of course in 2 weeks as well. But the sellers are absolutely in control in the short term. But do they continue? That's what I want to know from all of you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode.